This is the single most important machine on Earth. Almost nobody has heard of it, almost nobody can build it, and without it, the modern world simply stops. Every advanced phone, every laptop, every data center training artificial intelligence depends on chips. And the most advanced chips on the planet can only be made by one machine from one company. It is made in a small town in the Netherlands. It costs as much as a passenger jet, and it does something that sounds physically impossible. This is the story of ASML. Inside the device you're watching this on, there's a chip, and on that chip are billions of switches called transistors, each one far smaller than a virus. To give you a sense of scale, a single modern chip can hold more transistors than there are stars in our entire galaxy. The question is, how do you possibly build something that small? You do not carve it, and you do not assemble it. You print it with light. That process is called photolithography, and it is the heart of everything. Picture a darkroom from old photography, but a billion times more precise. A pattern is projected through light onto a silicon wafer coated in a light-sensitive film. Where the light hits, the chemistry changes. Wash it, etch it, and the pattern becomes real physical circuitry. Then you repeat that, layer upon layer, up to 100 times. A single wafer the size of a dinner plate can become hundreds of finished chips. And the sharpness of every line you print comes down to one thing: the light itself. Here is the iron rule. You cannot print a feature much smaller than the wavelength of the light you print with. Want smaller chips? You need a smaller wavelength. And that is where the trouble begins. In 1965, an engineer named Gordon Moore made a prediction. The number of transistors on a chip would double roughly every 2 years. The world has chased that promise ever since. For decades it held, almost like a law of nature. But every doubling meant shrinking the transistors again, and shrinking them meant a relentless hunt for sharper, shorter wavelengths of light. Keep that one idea in your head. Smaller light means smaller chips, and smaller chips mean a faster world. Now, back to a leaky shed in the Netherlands. Our story really begins with Philips, the Dutch electronics giant. Inside its legendary research lab, engineers have been quietly tinkering with chip-making machines since the 1970s. But Philips saw these machines as a side project, a curiosity. The technology was promising, yet it had no real home and no real future inside such a huge company. Enter Arthur Del Prado, the pioneering founder of a company called ASM International and one of the godfathers of Europe's chip industry. He saw what Philips could not. On the 1st of April, 1984, the two sides shook hands. A 50-50 joint venture was born, named ASM Lithography. Most people assumed it was destined to fail. There was no gleaming headquarters. The new company started in a leaky prefab shed next to a Philips building. The roof so bad that engineers sometimes worked around buckets catching the rain. Their first product, the PAS 2000, was clever, but the company was tiny, unknown, and bleeding money against giant Japanese and American rivals like Nikon and Canon. Among that small team was a young engineer named Martin van den Brink. Over the next 40 years, he would become the technical mind, the architect behind nearly every leap ASML ever made. For years, survival was never guaranteed. ASML burned through cash, missed deadlines, and more than once came within a whisker of going under entirely. But the team made one defining bet. Instead of building every part themselves, they would design the system and partner with the best specialists in the world for each component. It sounds simple. It was radical. ASML would become the conductor of a global orchestra of suppliers, mastering the hardest job of all, making thousands of perfect parts work as one. In 1995, the gamble paid off enough to go public on the stock market. The little shed company was now racing at the very front of the entire industry. Then came their masterstroke. While rivals hesitated, ASML embraced a wild idea: printing chips through a thin layer of purified water, which bends light to sharpen the image. It works spectacularly. That single move vaulted ASML ahead of Nikon and Canon for good. But the deepest challenge, the one that would define the company, was still waiting. The wall of physics itself. By the 2000s, engineers were squeezing every last trick out of their light. They had pushed the wavelength down to 193 nanometers, and there they got stuck. Hard. To keep shrinking chips, they needed a wavelength more than 10 times shorter. A type of light called extreme ultraviolet, just 13.5 nanometers. And extreme ultraviolet hates everything. This light is so easily absorbed that it cannot travel through air. It cannot pass through glass. A normal lens would simply swallow it whole. By every rule, you cannot build a machine around it. So the entire light path has to live inside a vacuum, a void as empty as outer space. And that is only the first of the impossible problems. You also need a source bright enough to produce this fragile light, mirrors perfect enough to steer it, and stages precise enough to use it. Each one took decades and billions of dollars. Many of the smartest people in the industry believed extreme ultraviolet would never work in a factory. For nearly 20 years, it looked like they might be right. It took a global effort, governments, universities, and rival chip makers, all pouring money into a technology none of them could finish alone. ASML became the place where it all came together. In 2012, the world's biggest chip makers, Intel, Samsung, and TSMC, did something unheard of. They handed billions of their own dollars to ASML and even bought stakes in the company. They were not being generous. They were terrified. If extreme ultraviolet failed, the march of Moore's law would end, and the entire digital future would slowly grind to a halt. With that war chest, ASML went hunting for the impossible. And the very first impossible thing they needed was a way to create extreme ultraviolet light at all. The solution is so strange it sounds made up. To make this light, you have to create a tiny, controlled star, hotter than the surface of the sun, inside the machine. Here is how. It starts with molten tin, pushed through a nozzle into droplets thinner than a human hair. Tens of thousands of them fall through the chamber every single second. As each droplet falls, a colossal laser hits it. Not once, but twice. The first pulse flattens the droplet into a pancake. The second vaporizes it into a brilliant plasma. For a fraction of a second, that speck of tin is heated to around 500,000 degrees, many times hotter than the surface of the sun. And in that flash, it screams out extreme ultraviolet light. Now do that 50,000 times every second, hitting a moving target smaller than a grain of salt with a laser perfectly for months without stopping. That is the source. This monstrous laser system was perfected by a company called Cymer in San Diego, California. The challenge was so brutal that ASML eventually bought them outright to control it. The laser alone is one of the most powerful industrial lasers ever put into continuous use, drawing enough electricity to power a small neighborhood. The light from that tiny exploding star blasts out in all directions. So a giant curved collector mirror sits behind it, gathering the precious extreme ultraviolet and aiming it deeper into the machine. But the exploding tin sprays microscopic debris everywhere, threatening to coat that mirror in an instant. Stopping it took years of invention all on its own just to keep the source alive. So now we have our impossible light, born from a man-made star, 50,000 times a second. The next problem is just as hard. How do you steer light that nothing can reflect? Remember, extreme ultraviolet is absorbed by everything, including ordinary mirrors. A normal mirror would soak it up like a sponge. So ASML needed to invent a mirror that breaks the usual rules. For that, they turned to one partner above all others, the German optics legend Zeiss. The two companies are now so intertwined that ASML owns a large part of Zeiss's chip optics division. Zeiss builds mirrors coated with around 100 ultra-thin layers, alternating metals stacked with atomic precision. Each layer reflects just a sliver of the light, and together they add up. Even so, every bounce loses some of that precious light. So the design uses as few mirrors as possible, each one polished to a perfection that is genuinely hard to comprehend. These are the flattest objects humans have ever made. If you scale one of these mirrors up to the size of Germany, the tallest bump on its surface would be less than a millimeter high. Polishing a single mirror to that standard can take the better part of a year. A microscopic flaw, a speck of dust, a tremor, and a component worth millions is ruined. The light bounces off a patterned mask, the master blueprint of the chip, then through this hall of perfect mirrors, shrinking the image down onto the silicon wafer below. The pattern is projected at a quarter of its size, like focusing the design through a perfect lens made of mirrors. This is how a drawing becomes circuitry finer than anything in nature. But a sharp image is useless if the wafer underneath is not in exactly the right place. And here, ASML pulls off perhaps its most underrated miracle of all. The wafer sits on a stage that moves back and forth at brutal acceleration, scanning under the light. It must stay positioned to within a fraction of the size of an atom. To put that precision in perspective, it is like flying two jumbo jets at full speed, a centimeter apart, while a robot welds them together, never missing by more than the width of a hair. The stages float on magnetic fields, steered by lasers, correcting their position tens of thousands of times a second. Two wafers are handled at once, one measured while the other is printed. Put it all together, the man-made star, the perfect mirrors, the levitating stages, and you have a machine called an Extreme Ultraviolet scanner. Officially, the Twinskin. It is the size of a bus, weighs as much as two large elephants, and is built from over 100,000 individual parts working in perfect harmony. Those parts come from a web of around 5,000 suppliers spread across the planet. ASML itself makes surprisingly little of it. Its true genius is integration. Assembling one machine takes months in a clean room cleaner than a hospital operating theater, where a single stray particle could doom the entire system. No other company on Earth has managed to pull this orchestra together, not for lack of money and not for lack of trying. The knowledge is simply too deep and too spread out. The result is a machine that can print features just a few nanometers wide, the size of a handful of atoms, again and again, with almost unbelievable reliability. When one is finally ready, it does not fit in a truck. A single system is broken into roughly 40 freight containers and flown to the customer aboard cargo jumbo jets. The price of one Extreme Ultraviolet machine is around $150 to $200 million, and the newest generation costs far more. Customers happily wait years in line to buy them. That is because each machine can pay for itself many times over, printing the chips that power everything from your phone to the data centers behind artificial intelligence. And ASML is not slowing down. Its newest beast, the High-NA system, is the size of two double-decker buses and costs around $350 million each. High-NA uses bigger, even more extreme optics to print chips smaller still, extending Moore's law into a future that, just a decade ago, many believed was completely out of reach. Installing one of these could take 6 months and hundreds of people. It is less like delivering a tool and more like raising a cathedral of precision, bolt by bolt. And here is the staggering reality. For Extreme Ultraviolet, ASML has no competition. Zero. It holds a complete monopoly on the only technology that can build the world's most advanced chips. That makes this quiet Dutch company one of the most strategically important on the planet, a single point on which the entire global technology supply chain quietly balances. It has also placed ASML at the center of a geopolitical storm. Governments now control which countries are even allowed to buy these machines, treating them like advanced weapons. A machine built in a small Dutch town has become a bargaining chip between superpowers, because whoever controls the most advanced chips may well control the century ahead. Every leap in artificial intelligence, every smarter phone, every faster computer traces back through this one machine in this one clean room in the Netherlands. So step back and take it in. A man-made star, 50,000 times a second, mirrors flatter than anything in the universe. Stages dancing with atomic precision. From a leaky shed in 1984 to the most complex machine humanity has ever mass-produced. ASML did not just keep Moore's Law alive. It quietly became the engine of the modern world. And the next time you unlock your phone, remember the impossible machine behind it. A controlled star, caged in mirrors, printing the future on his silicon, one flash of light at a time. If this rewired how you see the device in your hand, subscribe and stay with us as we keep breaking open the engineering that quietly runs our world.